Good evening. Hi, this is Scotty Sanders. Welcome to my Facebook Live. Hope you're off to a great week. So tonight I'll be sharing with you what employees want. And this is something I think I read an article probably about a year ago, but I was very intrigued by this. And it was from let me pull up, it was a study by the Public Agenda Foundation. And so I kind of added my own twist and how this may apply to employees and employers. Again, I believe the big takeaway is for employers or leaders within an organization. So you don't have to be an employer, but you could be over a department, a team leader, and these things I think apply. But I think it's important for us to understand, what are the motivators? What are the things that employees find important? The things that team members find important, okay? So this is actually episode 66. So if you've missed my episodes in the past, you can go to scottysanders.com and check out the prior ones. So if you don't know me, I'm an international leadership consultant. I get to work with leaders in all over the world, a lot of different countries that I get to impact and influence. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do that. And it's something I'm deeply passionate about. The thread that runs through all of our Facebook Lives is that the importance of leading yourself well. In fact, I just finished up a future Facebook Live, and it's called Leading Well. What does it really mean to lead well? But that's very important because I believe when you lead yourself well, you get a chance to lead others. And again, it always starts, this is home base. You've got to lead yourself well, being responsible, being disciplined, having integrity, doing the things that you follow through, people can count on. All of those things are very important. So it's really about leading well. And so tonight we'll be talking about these 10 things that employees want, but in a lot of ways it still goes back to the leadership. When the leader of the organization is of integrity and makes good decisions and responsible, those are the kind of leaders that people want to follow. So you're able to attract better people to your team. So, one of the things that I think is always important, it doesn't matter if it's sports, if it's corporate America, a nonprofit, education, churches, everybody's wanting to get better people on their team. I believe you just cannot have enough good people on your team. But how do you get good people on your team? So I think these 10 things that we'll talk about should give you some insight. And then I'll also share at the end a few things that employees that we think is a big deal, but is not as big a deal as we make it out to be. So let's dive in. So here's the first one, and it's to work with people who treat me with respect, okay? Treat me with respect. Listen, that ought to be a no-brainer. I don't care where a person is in the organization. You treat every person with respect. So if you're a leader, you're an employer, if you're not treating people with respect, I would never want to work with you even as a consultant. I won't do that. You've got to be respectful. People want to be treated with respect. And that's just a no-brainer. And here's the thing, there may have been a day that you could get by with that, but when the employment market is the way it is now, we're 3.7, 3.8%. We're underemployment in some ways. So there's more jobs available than people looking for jobs. It's much more competitive on the job market. So it doesn't cost you anything to treat people with respect, but it's a huge advantage for you, if you will. So that's the first one, to work with people that treat them with respect. Here's another one, to experience interesting work, okay? Helping people to see the why behind what they do. Not just the what, not just the how, but why. Why is this important? If you can help them to see that, and also give members some autonomy in what they're doing. They don't have to just follow everything perfectly, but they can have some autonomy. They can have some decision making. That gives them skin in the game. It gives them buy-in, and it makes their work more interesting. Here's a third one, to receive recognition for good work. That's another no-brainer to me. That's part of a leader's job, is to recognize people that are doing good work. That can be in the way of just appreciation, giving some type of bonus, giving a salary increase at the appropriate time, but recognizing people for good work. Now listen, I try to stay away from political things, but the movement out there a little bit becoming more socialist in our thoughts, that doesn't that doesn't recognize good work, because in a socialist type environment, it doesn't matter if you do good work or not. We're all treated the same. We're all paid the same. So I happen to not believe in that form of government. I'm not saying it's evil. I just don't think that's the most productive for your employees. And I think people that tend to work in a socialist type environment, they have no motivation, no incentive to do good work. But our part, again, as a leader, as an employer, is we want to recognize good work. That's part of the leader's job. Here's the fourth one: to have a chance to develop skills. Don't you want people on your team that want to develop their skills? You sure should. So that ought to be one of those automatic things. And again, to me, as part of the job of the leader, is you need to be coaching, pouring into the people you lead. You're helping them with their skills. There's hardly a week that goes by that I don't send something electronically to someone that I work with, some resource, some book I read, an article, a quote, maybe a recommendation of a website that would be helpful to them, a webinar or something, as a resource to help people to improve their skills. I love getting to do that. So if you want to help, if you want people that want to be a part of your organization as an employer or a team leader, that's important to people. They want to develop their skills. So help them to do that. Number 5, to work for people who will listen to your ideas to make things better. You know, to me as a leader, one of our big jobs is to listen well. Ask good questions, listen, get feedback. And listen, you can learn from anybody, but learn to ask good questions. Listening to employees is a good thing, not a bad thing. Here's another one, number 6, a chance to think for themselves. If you don't let them think for themselves, you might as well just hire robots. You want people to be problem solvers. And closest to the problem the people are dealing with, let them solve it. Let them think for themselves. I remember hearing this story about Ritz-Carlton, that they had a deal with all their employees. They probably still do. I went through a leadership certification a number of years ago, but they gave every employee up to $2,000 that they could, at their discretion, they could use to solve a problem. That's empowering people. When you let people solve the problems, think for themselves, you're empowering them. People want to be empowered. They don't want to just have to follow orders all the time. So I think that was number 6. Here's number 7. To be able to see the end result of their work. You know, is the work significant? Does the work matter? Is there a big reason behind what you do? Okay? Everybody wants to know that the work that they do, there's some significance to it, something bigger than themselves. So help them to see that. It's just good leadership on your part to be able to point that out. Number 8, to work for efficient managers. You know, we like to point out when our employees are wasteful or not productive, but a lot of times as managers, we're not super efficient. We waste people's time. We waste budget money. We don't use the money as wisely as we could. And so we may squabble over giving an employee a raise at a certain level, but they'll see us waste time and waste money. And for them, it's just a major disconnect. It's like you're being tight here, but then you waste time and money on the other end. People want to work for efficient managers. Number 9, a job that is not too easy. Now that may surprise you a little bit. You know, you want people to feel challenged. People want to be challenged. They don't want something just everybody can do, and they want to be able to be challenged in what they do. Okay? And then number 10, to feel well informed. So they don't want to be in the dark about things. They don't want to be surprised. They want to be communicated to. They want to be informed in advance of a decision being made, a change in policy, a change of direction, that they're not hearing it from someone else. They hear it from the appropriate person. That goes back to respect. I think that's a disrespectful thing when you don't communicate to people the way that you should. No one likes to be in the dark. People want to be well informed. So those are the 10 things, believe it or not, that employees hold very dear. And I believe, if I'm right, none of these 10 cost any money. It goes back to leadership. It goes back to leading well. You lead yourself well, you lead your organization well, you model that for your employees, then all of a sudden you're developing a team of people, they know how to lead well. Then they become developers, and that's how companies can grow and be more successful. Now, if you're curious, Notice some things that were not on the list. So let me just name these real quick. More pay was not on the list. We think that, so when someone leaves us, well, they left for more pay. No, that's rarely does that happen. Rarely does that happen. But we use that as an excuse. When people quit, they usually quit the boss, the person in charge. Here's another one. More benefits. That's not on the list. More vacation time, job security. None of those things were on the 10 top most important things for an employee. But sometimes as employers, we make that the most important. We just assume that because that costs us money. And when people leave us, we think it's because of those financial reasons, when in reality, it's usually because of our poor leadership. All right? So I want to challenge you. Be the type business, the type employer, the type leader that you're able to keep people, you're able to attract top talent because you're doing these 10 things that they're looking for. And it's common sense. It's being a good person. It's being a good leader. Well, listen, I hope this has helped you. If you would, I appreciate you hitting the share button, and that way you can pass this on to some other folks as well. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and let's keep leading well till we get back together. Take care.